Alright, so for those of you just tuning in, we're about to spectate another 3v3 on the map MegaRandom, this time between my higher rated viewers, of course part of my weekly Twitch TV live streams. If you want to get in on this, then by all means, head on over to my Twitch page and then scroll underneath the video player there to find my live stream schedule, which I do update about every day. Alright, let's do this! GLHF. Gonna be some MegaRandom, so anything is possible. Now during these matches, usually I try to give my analysis on the player's strategy choices, the map and whatnot, to provide you guys with a good starting point to sort of learn everything you need to know about competitive Age of Empires 2 and just kind of get your foot in the door. Age of Empires 2 is one of my favorite games of all time because I believe the game is very fun if you're a casual player and have no idea what you're doing, but making that transition from casual to online play can be quite intimidating. So hopefully this is where I come in to kind of bridge the gap in both Age of Empires 2 and for a wide variety of other games. So feel free to browse through the channel. You can find some tutorials, expert gameplay, everything that you need, as well as some stuff for other games. Well, without further ado, we're into the game, and it looks like we have one hell of a MegaRandom map. Hell, it's about time. This is disgusting. So first, start off by introducing all the players. So, we have Sick Mode playing as the Teal Britons. We have Ready Teddy playing as the Red Berbers. Mothump playing as the Orange Slavs. Hijor Leaf playing as the Purple Japanese. Goodbye Mr. A playing as the Yellow Mongols. And Pete playing as the Gray Byzantines. Ladies and gentlemen, what a map we have here today. I don't think I've seen anything like this. MegaRandom has given us so many mundane maps recently, so many boring water maps that are very difficult to play, and here they've thrown us for a loop. This looks like the kind of map that I would have made in the scenario editor when I was a little kid. Yeah, let me just put some huge leaf texture here. Good lord. So, how exactly would you play this map is the question. Well, first of all, it's Nomad, so you don't start with the town center, you gotta build one. And you have your 3 villagers. Where do you build it? This is where I think a lot of players would go wrong. You have a couple options here. I think you would either build it, basically where your villager spawns in this middle area where it's surrounded by straggler trees. Hopefully like very close to your boar. Perhaps not close enough. Something like this. At least where in this case it's right next to the forage bushes. So when you're putting down your initial town center, you want to be thinking of how you can get additional value out of it. Tales like this map Craig has. Oh yes. Thank you, Hardfoil. You want to think about how you can get additional value out of your town center, right? So, you don't want to mill these berries. You don't want to mill these 2 forage bushes. So by building the town center here, Sick Mode saves himself a 100 wood. Alternatively, though, he's very far away from his wood line. So I actually kind of like Ready Teddy's town center the best out of everyone's here, just because this allows him to delay the lumber camp a little bit. I mean, I say this, but... Oh, that's actually a house. I was going to say, I say this, but he's building a lumber camp right now. So I actually kind of like this one. It also protects his main goal. This is making him quite difficult to raid. So I like Teddy putting it a little bit closer to the wood line. Motham as well doing that. It looks like Motham is actually just starting his town center right now. Still trying to recover from the shock. This is actually a nomad map, and you don't start with one. Although you're building it over here. Well, here he has it adjacent to his primary gold and his primary stone, so I guess it's okay. It's just nice to not have to lure the deer, and he's at least close enough that he doesn't really have to worry about that. What a pocket position, by the gods. I think putting it, though, in the middle area is just fine. And then, we're going to focus on then finding, food resources, so your sheep. Putting 6 villagers on the sheep to try and sustain villager production will give you a rock solid 50 food every, 30 seconds or so, which is plenty for villagers. It'll be getting more than that. So, you guys asked for Nomad, you got Nomad. MegaRandom Gods delivered. Ready Teddy attempting a very nice cheap wall off, trying to use his houses as part of this, so this is quite nice, allow him to save some wood. And then, I suppose he could wall from here to here, and just kind of close this area off. I'm a little bit worried about doing that, though, if Teddy was considering it, because he'll be forfeiting a lot of map control and he'll be kind of boxed into a corner with no escape, which would make him a sitting duck. There's no easy way to wall this map, considering these are shallows and you can't build walls and that. I would probably not dock on this map. I expect a lot of players to do this, though, unaware of exactly how many fish there are. I would say there are not enough deep-sea fish here to really warrant that. I would never dock for just shorefish unless there were quite a few. I think that, something around the lines of maybe 4 would be my minimum. And even then, it wouldn't make that many fishing ships. But here, I don't think the dock is necessarily worth it, because you're not safe enough that you can dock for just shorefish. That'd be a very much a big waste of wood, and there really just aren't enough fish here, period. You do get a lot of map control, so I would like to see some sort of docking later on in the game, perhaps, you know, using things like demolition rafts, demolition ships to take out those land armies is very efficient at doing that, believe it or not. Things like cannon galleons would be useful. But early game, I do not want to see a dock. I do not want to see a galley rush from these players. I feel like it's going to leave them very vulnerable as players can just walk past the docks, go straight for their economy. Gustav 1999 asks, your girlfriend and wife have their mind switched. You need to have sex with one of them to solve it. Which one do you choose? Oh my god. Wait, your girlfriend and wife? Wouldn't they be the same person? Damn it, I mean mom, I messed up. Wow. Not even sure how to answer that one. Streaming is hard, guys.
Yes.
I don't know if I don't think I'd be comfortable doing that. Massive wood, guys. Massive wood. Well, sick mode though, back to the game, is actually trying to get a nice little defensive wall off here. Again, he didn't really need to though. He's in the pocket position, so I don't think that he needs to do this, but who knows, he could get raided by knights. In this case, it's very easy for him to... See, he's taking good advantage of the terrain, sick mode is, by incorporating the stone walls and the forest as part of the wall off, and then he'll be able to like close from here to here, and that way if he does get raided by knights, he will be able to hold the line. So I like that from sick mode. Well-positioned lumber camp. Players with some sick boar lures right off the bat. I like to see it. No dock blunders so far. So I'm talking about, so Pete has put his town center, you know, next to his straggler trees and around where his villagers start, and this leaves him very much vulnerable to those cannon galleons should they come into play later in the game. So we'd like to see a dock, perhaps in the Castle Age or the Imperial Age, for demolition ships and cannon galleons, but not early on. Flash says I would choose both. Both. Yeah, not wife, guys. You met mom. Ulysses asked, should I go to Helsinki or Copenhagen for a semester abroad? I study economics. That is a really tough question, man. I'm not sure I'm qualified to answer that. But Copenhagen has a gaming scene, so I'm slightly biased. Meko says I should go to sleep, but I'm watching your streams. Tough choice. I feel you, man, but your sleep comes first, Meko, so I appreciate the support. You can find the better matches on YouTube. And yeah, thank you so much. I hope to see you around in the future. Or you can stick around. Either way, every player in this game has a horse, which is quite bad for scouting, as the horse does have very mediocre map vision, as we can see here from red scouting. Not so great, as he can only do so much with a one-tile shorter line of sight. Basically the same as a sheep, so quite unfortunate here. Red trying his best to get a defensive wall off. He's very cramped in here. He actually does not have a mill yet, I think. So if he gets heavily rushed, being bottled in here, I mean, sure, he's got a gold. He's got a wood line. He basically has just barely enough space to survive, and these villagers with his lumber camp should be far enough away that he doesn't really get raided by archers over the other side of these walls too much. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Copenhagen is Lego World? Definitely sways that one. Ready Teddy gonna put down a barracks here. Considering some sort of dark or feudal age aggression. I don't think he's gonna go for a drush, though, based off his economy. I mean, he's got one villager on gold, so I think he's thinking of like some sort of 3 militia drush into a fast castle age, or is he just going for a fast castle age? He is continuing villager production. It's kind of difficult to tell. He has that barracks down there, I guess, just in case. Sick mode's going to try and wall up as best he can, get huge, get swole inside these walls. And then once he's all finished, boomed up, I expect him to push out. So we have purple with 3 villagers on gold. 3 villagers on gold generally signifies a fast castle age. So players here getting their greed on, trying to stockpile the 200 gold necessary, and then the 800 food, and then go straight to the next stage. I mean, we'll see. I mean, maybe purple will assign those villagers. I think purple assigned those villagers to gold a little bit too early. And in fact, he has so many villagers queued up, perhaps a few too many for the standard, you know, around 27, 28 population that you would see players go up on if they were going for like a fast castle age strategy. It's interesting as well to see these players going for fast castle age strategy, particularly purple, or I'm not really sure what build he's going for yet. This castle age is going to be very slow. He's just milling his deer now. He's milling it with 6, which is good. That way he'll have 2 groups of 3 to go deal with the deer. In fact, he's actually going to send an additional 5 villagers. He's going to go really heavy on the deer. He's going to have to wait for the deer to actually be finished. He has to wait for that food to get dropped off, and that's going to be quite a while. It's going to be about 2 minutes or so before purple would even have enough food to click up. He's putting out a dock right now, which is really interesting. I feel like this fast castle age decision from purple might be a little bit risky, considering he's on the flank. He's so very close to Pete. If Pete decides to go for some sort of feudal age aggression, it might actually just kill purple outright. He's going to be quite slow. Oh no, he's putting down a fishing ship. And he has no nearby fish. So here's the thing. It's very easy in retrospect for me to be like, oh, there's just not enough fish in this map, so you shouldn't dock. So we got to give this guy the benefit of the doubt. Unfortunately, I feel like he has scouted around enough, but the fact that he has explored exactly 0 fish tiles is a sign not to build a dock and build a fishing ship. That is really risky. I'm not sure if I have the balls to do that in my own gameplay. So I would not recommend it in this situation. He's also can scout around with the fishing ship, but until you scout at least 1 tile of fish, I would never do it. So I understand making that mistake, but he hadn't found any fish, so it's a little bit risky. And not only this, okay, so he's going for a fast castle age, as his feudal time very delayed. He's on, ridiculously high population of 30, so this is a slower castle time. Either that, or he's just kind of winging it. What he's doing here is he's giving as much room as physically possible for Pete to come in there and finish the job. By going into the feudal age really slowly and putting down a dock, he's going to have a lot of trouble defending against this. Purple's going to need to put down a barracks or something. With this stable down, it looks like Pete, our gray player, will be going for scouts. So Byzantine's going to be going for scouts. No bloodlines for him, but it doesn't matter in the early stages of the feudal age. I don't think that purple will even have enough food to go up to the castle age immediately, so he's in a lot of trouble. If he doesn't put down a barracks ASAP and start making some spearmen, he might be toast. As scouts create pretty slowly, so he does have some time for it. The second scout's already finished. The third one is about 1/4 of the way done. I do like that Pete has made a defensive spearman, because again, Pete is expecting that purple will go for some sort of scout play. Because these two players are on the flank, they're very close to each other. Going for fast castle age, quite risky. Those military imps will be able to get there, quite fast. So I think he was expecting the scout play from purple on the flank, but he did not get that. And that's what this one defensive spearman is for. He can just keep it stationed next to his wood line, because this is where the scouts are generally going to go, because these villages are very far away from the town center, which would keep them safe in the early game from rushes. The villagers can garrison inside them, shoot some arrows. Stolen names is their Lego versions of Age of Empires buildings. That's awesome. Check that out after the game. Meanwhile, purple is finally going to be putting down his barracks. He's putting down his barracks and actually his blacksmith right about now, and a market. This is so unbelievably greedy. Purple, you're on the flank. You know you can't wall. Ah, the greed is real. He's going to lose these villagers. He's going to have to start pumping out some spearmen right about now. If we swap back to his perspective, are the spearmen being queued up? Yes. Okay, so he's reacting appropriately. Got to put down the 2 spearmen. Oh, this fast castle age is going to be one of the biggest blunders I've seen in a little while. Respecting the higher rated game, but this is a colossal mistake from purple. He's like, I'm being raided by scouts, and I miscalculated. I do not actually have enough food to get to the castle age, as he finished all of his deer, and so much of his economy is vulnerable. He has to stay and fight. There are only 3 scouts here. He has to stay and fight. He is going to stay and fight. This is good. Try and kill these. He should pull off actually, no, he's pretty much good to go. Okay, Gray's going to back off. This is okay, though, for Gray, because the thing is that Gray doesn't have to necessarily kill these villagers to do a lot of economic damage. He just needs to get them to stop gathering resources. Teal, being the good ally, even though he's in the pocket, is sending a couple defensive spearmen to protect this very vulnerable wood line. And it looks like Pete's scouting aggression is going to start petering off. Teal is watching, will rally those spearmen over there in time to try and take out those scouts. I don't think purple will lose another villager here, but again, it's a lot of idle time. It's really messing with purple's build. Purple can actually buy the food that he needs to start advancing the castle age. He should really do that right about now. Absolute disaster here. Titanic. We've all done this before. I've done this on stream a million times, where I've wanted to go for fast castle age on a weird sort of MegaRandom style map, and then once I get to the feudal age, I realize that I don't have enough food to do it. And then you have no military, your economy is awful, in which you have like no wood, but you have a ton of food that you can't really spend. So what do? You die. Thankfully, though, purple is doing all right, since he got some defensive spearmen from Teal. He's doing okay. A lot of idle time on him. He could really just buy the food. You got the market, my friend. Buy that food, go up to the castle age, start building some town centers, get to that goal of 100 plus villagers ASAP. Meanwhile, Pete is yet to give up on the scout production. Is he overcommitting? I think he's actually stopped scout production now, so this is good. So I'd say that Pete stopped scout production at exactly the appropriate time here. Why? Because scouts have this window of opportunity when you get to the feudal age, when you can do some really heavy raiding. And then once your opponents get enough spearmen, you force the spearmen out, you killed a bunch of villagers, you got a lot of idle time, those scouts are worth it. You want to stop making scouts at some point around the time when Pete did, because you need to get to the castle age. And the 80 food a pop per scouts really slows that down. So by transitioning to something like archers, which is exactly what Pete's going to be doing, so textbook Age of Empires 2 here, excellent play from Pete. Going to transition into very standard double archer range after his scout opening. Again, this is things that you would do on the flank, because on the flank you want to think of something more aggressive, at least defending against a rush or rushing your opponent. Fast Castellate should be in the pocket where you're far enough away that you don't really need to worry about being rushed. So yeah, I like this. He's transitioning to archers. Archers cost gold, which you do need to advance the Castellate, but it's much easier to pay the gold cost on the archers than it is to get that 800 food, so I would definitely say that was worthwhile there. Meanwhile, Pete, rather than, heavily raiding the exact same guy, all game purple, who has definitely a lot of defensive spearmen here, he's looking for other opportunities, trying to raid red, who may not be able to defend here. I love this base. Oh yeah, red. He is actually playing this very well. I know this looks kind of ugly, but it's so compact, it's so efficient. So modern, making great use of the space that he has here. He's doing this to protect his farmers and try and create a funnel where his opponents have to walk underneath his town center to raid his villagers. Actually, red, believe it or not, is very safe. The one downside of the strategy, red is executing this very nicely. The one downside of this is he's forfeiting so much map control. Like all these resources along the edges, he will not be able to contest those, and there's nothing stopping his opponents from just dropping down like a forward siege workshop. But red, though, he's able to make some knights. He's on 2 stables. Will be able to zone back those scouts, so he's in mostly good shape. Meanwhile, Teal is going to go for pocket crossbowmen. It's pretty interesting. Now, he could have gone for knights. Knights are an excellent choice in the pocket, of course, because not only are they very good against spearmen, like spearmen are only a threat to knights once you get the pikeman upgrade, which costs a lot of money and takes time. Pikemen don't beat knights one-on-one, so you need to mass them up. Whereas knights are just good from the get-go without any upgrades. You still want to get some upgrades, though. They're also quite mobile, and yeah, the knights are an excellent pocket choice. Great way to reinforce your flanks and do some aggressive raiding. Crossbow very slow, which is why we don't usually see them in the pocket position. But here I think it's okay because he built the archer ranges forward to protect purple, and he recognizes that purple's base is very wide open. Purple's still in the feudal age, so sick mode will probably have to protect him. So I think this is fine. He's also playing to his civilization strengths by making the crossbowmen. I think it's okay. The only downside, though, by going for the crossbow with the forward archer ranges is that while this will be very powerful offensively and defensively for purple, it's going to kind of leave Ready Teddy in there all alone. Gonna leave him out to dry. So hopefully he'll be okay. I think he will be. I like that Teal did Stonewall this side, especially because he knows he's going to be investing a lot more over here. This way he doesn't have to worry about getting raided. Thank you so much, Tolstoy, for the resub. Much appreciated. Yeah, the forward archer ranges, since he's Britons, it's interesting, and it will definitely pay off as long as Ready Teddy does not die. And I also think it's something that his opponents won't really suspect, and it will make it a lot more difficult for them to actually build the appropriate counter units here. Because we all know that Ready Teddy is building knights. The entire enemy team knows as they've seen it. So someone like Pete is, for example, quite tempted to make things like camels. But camels are very weak versus crossbowmen, so the fact that Teal has these 2 forward archer ranges will throw a wrench in those plans. Thanks so much, Velizzi, for the resub as well. Much appreciated. Now, Goodbye Mr. Ray is actually still in the feudal age. Not entirely sure what's going on here, but he is almost to the castle age. It's okay, though. I think this game is relatively even. He's just struggling a little bit to adapt to the bizarre start of this map. Yes. A little bit late, perhaps, on the spearmen, but I understand why he didn't build any, because purple did not go for scouts, which Pete anticipated, but did not actually happen. And we're going to see here where the spearmen are not good versus the small raiding source, small raiding group of knights here. It's going to be quite difficult to actually kill them off. He needs to mass up a lot of spearmen to deal with that raiding force. One at a time, not quite going to cut it, but yellow doesn't really have a choice. There's nothing, making militia is going to be even worse, so he just kind of has to make some spearmen. I would like to see maybe like a defensive monastery and to make like a monk. Gray, being a good teammate that he is, will rally in a couple of spearmen to try and hold the line here. Stem the bleeding. Is Yellow going to lose so much of his economy? All those villagers idle, so many lost. Red doing some excellent raiding. Why go for Motham, who's all bottled in the corner, when you can go straight for their pocket? Make sure that you cripple him. You have to walk substantially further, so it is a risk. But some excellent raiding here from Ready Teddy. Very well done. Yellow, unfortunately, going to take a lot of damage from that. Will he hold on? Well, meanwhile, Sick Mode is moving forward with those British crossbowmen with the additional 1 attack range that he has there. He does have the fletching upgrade. Has to be very careful not to walk into the town center, so good dance here from Sick Mode. Still has to back up those spearmen. He'll probably want those alive. excellent reaction here from Pete. Going for the Bodkin Arrow Skirmishers, and he's in the Castle Age now, so expect the Elite Skirmisher upgrade to be on the way. There it is. He's engaging just perfectly in sync with the upgrades. With the Bodkin Arrow Elite Skirmisher, he will be able to just flip the situation on its head, snipe off a couple of those crossbows for free, a few of those javelins landing in the water. But yeah, it looks like Sick Mode does get pushed back, so excellent response here from Pete. He probably scouted those archer ranges, and that he assumed that there would be, you know, the very standard British crossbowmen coming into play. So he predicted that, and he massed up the skirmishers preemptively before he even saw the archers coming out, because he saw the forward ranges, like, it's going to be crossbowmen. So yeah, excellent play there from Pete, predicting that absolutely perfectly. And, well, Sick Mode still has a very, very large army of crossbowmen here. The 2 spearmen in the front would be largely irrelevant. And I would like to see some demolition ships come into play at some point in this game. Meanwhile, I haven't really been paying too close attention to Orange, but he does indeed have a second town center. He's going for what appears to be a 1 stable knight play, and he's going to try and do some raiding here. It might be a little too late, though, as Ready Teddy, our red Berbers player, does have some defensive spearmen. He does have some knights as well. The home field advantage will make him very difficult for him to raid, because this is where all his production is, so he'll be able to reinforce his army quite quickly. Ooh! Now we're into that 3D chess Mind Games Age of Empires 2 that I did a video on. If you're interested in seeing some of that expert Age of Empires 2 stuff, I got that on the YouTube channel. The Mind Games video that I did, where I talk about how players will usually go through this process of transitioning through various counter units to try and counter your opponent's counters. Teal gonna mix up some Genitours. Now, being the Britons, he does not have bloodlines, which makes Genitours substantially weaker than they otherwise normally would be. It's a mounted skirmisher unit that you get. Everyone on your team gets that, as long as you have a Berbers teammate, which is Ready Teddy in this case. So I think it's interesting that he's mixing in these Genitours. They will trade somewhat favorably with the Elite Skirmishers, but the thing is that, you know, we're dealing with the Byzantines here, so their Elite Skirmishers are much cheaper, so I don't think the Genitours are going to be great. But he needs some sort of ranged raiding unit, and he's decided to go with the Genitours here, which I think is okay. I think the other reason why he's going for this is he doesn't want to make Elite Skirmishers because he has to get the upgrade first. Meanwhile, though, Purple making a comeback after the not-so-smooth opening from him. He's back and one of the scariest players in this game. Purple, one of the powerhouses. He does indeed have a huge army of knights with +1 defense, prioritizing those defense upgrades. That way he can just shirk off all those Elite Skirmisher javelins, go right in there, and mop up that entire army with relative ease. So yeah, Purple, a huge threat. Gonna move out here, presumably with the assistance of Ready Teddy, and then just, you know, cut through this entire army, really punishing Pete for committing so hard into those Elite Skirmishers. So very, very good play from the Purple, Teal, and Red team, as they kind of baited Pete into making such a huge army of crossmen to deal with Teal's, that's such a huge army of Elite Skirmishers to deal with Teal's crossmen. And then now, the double knights. They coordinated this, they baited him into it. 3 people ganging up on Pete seems a little bit excessive, so hopefully he's not too salty about this, as I think a lot of people would be. 3 people ganging up on him right now. Where is the rest of his team? Philosophers have asked the question for decades. Team where? Nowhere in sight. Orange going to put down some, you know, forward archer ranges to allow him to reinforce his allies a little bit sooner. And he's going to have to, because here comes a forward castle. I think this one's a little greedy with only 2 forward villagers from Teal. Can he keep those alive? I'm not really sure, but oh, it looks like for some reason the knights are on the defensive, so, you know, Pete actually managing to get a lot of free kills here that he really shouldn't get. Whereas this army should be zoned away and by those knights. Yes, Purple will move back in, try and clean up the remaining Elite Skirmishers. This castle's going to take decades to go up with only 2 villagers on it. This gives the opposing team so much time to react. Where is Goodbye Mr. A? Getting heavily raided by Sick Mode's crossbowmen. Again, this is something where I would have expected him at least to be somewhat prepared for this, mostly because we saw this forward archery ranges. You know, he has cartography, so he will be able to see everything that Pete sees. We know that that was exactly what Sick Mode's plan was, so I would have expected to see maybe some more defensive skirmishers, but, you know, Goodbye Mr. A hasn't played in a while. Defensive Mangonel will also be really, really good here. He's just sending in these skirmishers one at a time here, like adding more wood onto the fire. He has to mass those up a little bit before he actually attacks with them. Defensive Siege Workshop is exactly the way to go. When you're behind militarily, your opponent has a huge army of crossbowmen, and you don't have enough time to mass up enough Elite Skirmishers. So I would have liked to see a immediate, like, Defensive Siege Workshop. Then you build a Mangonel. Meanwhile, Red is just actually going to bust down this Palisade Gate. Go and just try and kill Yellow. So very well done with the coordinated attack. Everybody just kind of ignoring Motham and getting in there. Meanwhile, Motham, trying to make the heroic play, actually manages to snipe off both of those villagers. So this castle, like I said, would take approximately 3 decades to build, and it does get denied. Sigma's been building this castle for years. 91%, dreams crushed. This has happened to us before. I've seen them denied at 99%, man. Feels bad. Meanwhile, Purple's like, alright, let a real man handle this. I'm going to build my own castle adjacent to this. Someone's got to secure this map control, and it's going to be Purple. Putting down the forward castle. If they get any sort of military presence on this half of the island, if they manage to get those castles up, it's going to be really difficult for these players to remove them. The forward castle is so strong in the Castle Age because the castles themselves, it's quite easy to defend against battering rams by pulling your own villagers off or using your own knights, to defend at the base of the castles. Maybe you have your own defensive mangonels. Once you get to the Imperial Age, it's very hard to actually hold the line against these hold the line against trebuchets, so you can expect those castles to actually eventually go down. When will Teal actually finish this? Alright, there we go. He's pulling off a lot of villagers. Look at this, guys. Tilted! Sending in 6 villagers this time just to make sure, just for that other 9%. He could send in 2, but this time you gotta make sure you get the job done. You never know. It could be a mangonel shot. I'm kidding, of course. We're just having a little bit of fun with this. Teal just wants to make sure that this castle is finished. Having some insurance. Meanwhile, it looks like Purple will be putting down some forward Yasama watchtowers. Presumably arrow slits as well will be quite strong. Pocket player is getting decimated here. Yellow getting steamrolled by all of these players here. Having to wait for some support, some elite skirmishers from Orange, but a defensive mangonel is on the way out. Except there are no crossmen left to kill, so it's going to be really weak versus these knights. Now all they have is elite skirmishers and mangonels versus these knights. Absolute disaster. Age of Titanic. Age of Empires 2, Titanic edition. Good lord. These knights gonna mop up these elite skirmishers, maybe even kill a mangonel too. Actually, the mangonel is for some reason actually getting to kill these knights. These are some good mangonel shots on those knights. I never really thought I'd see this. Meanwhile, Ready Teddy has recognized that he can kill a mangonel for free. Or not. He's actually going to run away. Is he going to snipe this mangonel off? He can do it really quickly with just a couple auto attacks. 50 health in a mangonel, 10 attack per knight. He will get his knights out in time, though. Meanwhile, another forward castle from Sick Mode. He's considering it, or actually... These villagers moving forward aggressively. I'm not really sure what he's doing with them. Is he going to put them inside the towers? What's he going to do? Now this is a forward. Now, honestly, the correct play here, I really think, is to spread out the guard towers, like around the castles. That way you secure more map control. You want the guard towers in range of each other and in range of the castle, but I really feel like he could have just had more map control by spacing these out by a couple of tiles. And this might be a little excessive, because again, this forward dies all the same to trebuchets. If the opposing team get to the Imperial Age, they will be able to hold the line here. This game is not over yet. If they can get to the Imperial Age, it's going to be hard, and they can just clear this out with ease. Another forward castle coming down from Teal has decided actually not to drop it over here, perhaps recognizing that Yellow is maybe a little bit almost dead. I do like, though, that even though Yellow is behind, he does have 3 town centers, so he's trying to claw his way back in to the best of his abilities. What they need right now from Yellow more than anything is to get to the Imperial Age, start pumping out some trebuchets. Prano, oh my god, he's walking right into Purple's ancient tower defense style of play. I love this. God, that is so satisfying to look at. Oh man, that felt really good. That was exactly what Purple had in mind. Yellow sending in a wave of pikemen, pathing perhaps around the wrong way. I'm not really sure what that was intended for. Walking right into the line of fire. Guard tower 7+6 attack, firing 3 arrows per shot. Very strong, excellent mangonel shot though from Yellow. Slowing down that castle, but too little too late. This is why Sick Mode sent 6 villagers instead of 2, because sometimes you just need 6 to get the job done. Then we can build an additional, oh, disaster, mangonel right there. Build an additional castle. Gonna make sure those villagers don't stay idle, so he will be building a lumber camp here. In the meantime, this town center gonna go down. Pete trying his best to hold the line. He is the Byzantines, so he will actually be able to get to the Imperial Age despite all the pressure, so I would say that Pete is playing this game extremely well. He just needs to build some more houses, because he lost the town center, so he did get housed there for a moment. Doing an excellent job, because he's under so much offensive pressure right now. All he needs to do is get to the Imperial Age, get some trebs, and he might be able to hold the line as the Byzantines. His very healthy-sized economy. All eyes are on Yellow. Can he do it? Can he make enough villagers? Can he rebalance his economy? Because the way it's set up here, I imagine he's floating like 8,000 wood. This is way worse than I thought. He's floating 3,700 wood. Way too many lumberjacks, friend. Not enough food. Make some more villagers. Alright, looks like Yellow will be doing that. Excellent. Good to see. Purple, meanwhile, early on, his start was not excellent. Pete really did a number on him, but Purple really showing his prowess as a player here. Some players, sometimes you just have, rather unfortunate start. Perhaps the MegaRandom Nomad thing kind of caught him off guard. I think it caught a lot of these players off guard. But Purple right now, so very strong with a very powerful economy. He's applying so much forward pressure here. He's making a bunch of archers. He's actually filling his towers with archers so they fire additional arrows. Excellent. Excellent, Isama OP. We're at 7+7 with 6 arrows fired per tower. He's just filling them with archers. Now he's actually making some longswordsmen in here too. I like this. The champion's very good against the trash unit spam. So it's kind of going to force Pete into making some hand cannoneers, which he's going to have a lot of difficulty actually making because he has no access to safe gold, does he? I think the only gold mine that he has is this one, but he can't really safely mine that because of the position of this forward castle. Sends him off both gold mines, yeah. So he'll have a lot of trouble making hand cannoneers to deal with those longswordsmen. Meanwhile, though, Pete is up to the Imperial Age. All eyes on him. Can he win this Treb War? He's in a lot of trouble because Teal got to the Imperial Age first, I think, and then Teal, as a result, has more trebuchets. And the person who actually has a larger number of trebuchets that gets him up first usually wins. You can start draining your opponent of stone much, much quicker. Actually, goodbye, Mr. A has no stone at all. Has he mined any this entire game? He's got to get on that. Well, one of those trebuchets does get sniped. Interesting decision on Pete's part to focus down the treb first. I think recognizing that he can't actually win this raise. But he is Byzantines, though. His castle civ 6,720 HP compared to the standard 4,800. It's very, very bulky. He has to pull a lot of villagers off the line here. He's actually still focusing down the trebs. He thinks that he can win this fight if he just kills the trebs first and then focuses down the castles. Honestly, it could work if he just has enough stone in the bank to do this. So back to his perspective. I expect him to start running low soon, though. He's 500, actually, in the bank. He will be able to do this, and he does have a stone mine ticking. Meanwhile, though, we're just giving ample time for Purple to get huge. He's the Japanese, so his champions become quite strong in the late game. Meanwhile, Ready Teddy preparing one hell of a forward and spamming those Berber Cavaliers. This is when the Berbers are such a strong civilization in the Castle Age because their knights cost 20% less. Very strong. I have a video, How Balanced Are the New Civilizations, if you want to see my thoughts on them in a little bit more detail. And once they get to the Imperial Age, they used to start to drop off because they don't have the Paladin upgrade, they don't have Ring Archer armor, so I'm missing a lot of key techs. The thing is though, is that once you get to the Imperial Age, there's this brief window where you get the Cavalier upgrade, and you'll have so many knights that hopefully you just kill people before your lack of Paladin and other late game technologies really starts to bite you in the butt. So Ready Teddy knows this matchup, he knows the civilization very well, is going to just stream in his Cavaliers and try and kill yellow before he gets too big. Because the Mongols are a huge threat in the late game with their elite Mangudai, their very powerful siege weapons bolstered by that drill technology. Siege Onager is quite scary, elite Mangudai very, very scary too, the Hussar spam. Obnoxious to deal with when it comes to late game raiding. Meanwhile, Orange trying his best to reinforce the line here, but those champions, I think nobody really expected them from the Japanese player. Now, while the Japanese do love to make their infantry units, even then, we could have expected to see Arbalist or something like that instead. I don't really think that Pete has the gold. He definitely does not have the gold anyway to make any counter units, even if he assumed that the champions were indeed coming. Orange making a lot of elite skirmishers because, again, Teal was making so many Arbalists in the early game. He's making a lot of crossmen, forcing his opponents into making skirmishers, which champions just kind of deal with very nicely. Champion's so strong versus the trash units, he's going to need more defense upgrades if he wants to camp underneath his castle. Meanwhile, Aoe2 HD is kind of freezing. Poor Pete, by the way. He got ganged up on kind of by like 3 players here, so I assume that he's not particularly happy about this game. He's going to get raided as well by Sick Mode, swinging around with a small group of Arbalists, trying to just keep Pete's town centers idle as much as possible. I think he's basically dead. There's no way he can defend against these 3 players, even with the help of some of Motham's skirmishers. Because right now, they are in so much trouble because Motham is not able to defend Pete because the forward is positioned so effectively that it splits off all 3 players on that team from each other. They have so much difficulty defending against this because they're so split up. And yet again, Ready Teddy making an excellent play, spamming those Cavaliers to force the Mongols player into making a ton of pikemen. And then he comes in with the hand cannoneers to counter those pikemen too. And, well, it looks like Yellow's not an answer to this trebuchet. I think he's pretty screwed. I think he's going to die. Orange is slowly making a pushback, but spamming nothing but trash units will not win him the game, unfortunately. He does actually have a lot of gold miners, so I don't know. The Halberdier spam It's also going to be countered by those hand cannoneers. I think that by the time orange gets huge, it's going to be too little too late, as there's no way that Pete can hold against these two guys. If Pete had safer gold, I think he would have been okay. I'm pretty sure he was considering making hand cannoneers, expecting the champions, because these are the Japanese. So in the early game, we don't expect the infantry from them, but in the later stage of the game, once they get the champions out, then it becomes, you know, a lot more of a real threat. Same thing with things like Elite Samurai. I love that he filled these with archers. Oh man, my allergies. Ugh. Yes. That was a good game. It was a good game. Not super close, but I think it can be good regardless. There were just so many good plays from our purple, teal, and red team. And, you know, we had some fun little starts early on. And I think purple recovered from this so well. Ended up becoming essentially the MVP of this game. Yeah, everybody calling Titanic on him, but, you know, I've had plenty of games, and I would say that when you have a bad start, the trick is to not tilt. Recognize that, okay, maybe the fast castle age in the flank was a little bit greedy. Maybe that dock was not necessarily excellent, but you don't tilt. You instead transition very appropriately, do what you need to do, ask for help, and purple played that immaculately. I love that word, immaculately. Purple transitioned from this so very nicely. He fell behind due to those scouts, but he reacted appropriately, immediately made those spearmen, recognized his mistake. He got to the castle age, and once he did, oh, the rest of the game was just on autopilot for purple. He's finally in the zone, so don't be too demoralized if one of your teammates has a, you know, unfortunate start, or you have a bad start. Don't worry about it. Focus on building back into the game, getting your economy out. Remember to advance through the ages. Ask your teammates for help. You know, Teal came in there with a couple of defensive spearmen to help him, and I would say that he recovered very, very smoothly. Got in the late game, and ended up turning this around. For Pete versus the world did not really get that much backup this game, mostly because he was heavily isolated. This decision to go for this three-way pronged forward was very, very smart. I like this one. So many unit production facilities. Yeah, and the forward castle did eventually go down. I'd say that these could have again been spread out a little bit further, but I like this. I think the Islamic keeps have their uses too. Very well done, purple. Like, nicely done. That was some Pedro style building back. It's the first game on the stream. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, forward goodbye, Mr. A. He takes a brief break from Age of Empires 2, and then he gets ready teddied. Brutality. Absolute brutality. Alright, let's go check out the achievements. Yeah. Ready Teddy came into that game saying, it's time to say goodbye to Goodbye Mr. A. Oh, well, 313 trade profit. I wanted to mention the fact that that forward denied the trade profit from the entire opposing team, but it didn't really come into play here as the opposing team wasn't actually trading that much anyway, and I don't think they were in a position yet where they wanted to trade, but if the game started to really drag on, that Pete, Goodbye Mr. A, and Motham would not be able to trade because that forward was right in the middle of them blocking that trade line. Jor Leaf, who I'm sure I'm pronouncing his name incorrectly, has 313 trade profit. Look at the units killed, the units lost here. Tells a pretty good story. Teal, of course, is a very good KDA because he's the Britons. Very good attack range, allows him to trade favorably. Goodbye, Mr. A. Unfortunately, at a rather small army size, but he did his best. 7 units converted, though. That's pretty good. There are... Let's see. And it looks like purple and red ended up losing no buildings at all. Nice. So I'd say that one of the things that makes me really happy, though, is that even though this game was one hell of a struggle for all the players in here, I like this. Look at these economies. Again, yellow was behind, but he put his emphasis was in the right place. The fact that he had 109 villagers by the end of the game is very promising to me. So he did take a lot of damage early on, but he did actually get his economy up to snuff. Motham got it almost there, so I like to see that no one's economy was like uncharacteristically small, because you do need at least 100 villagers in a 200 population game to sustain military production and try and stay near that pop cap. So I like that he put that emphasis there. And yeah, just a really solid game. The forward archer ranges from Sick Mode was really cool, and the unit choices from their entire team was just very well done. So excellent game. Hopefully you guys learned something. If you did, feel free to let me know if you enjoyed this commentary, if you learned something. Feel free to leave a like, share it around, etc. I do read all the comments, even if I don't get a chance to respond to each of them individually, so I appreciate the support. Still figuring out life stuff in the background. Gotta see what I'm gonna do. It'll take a while for me to figure that out, but I'll keep you guys posted. Plenty more Age of Empires 2 stuff and videos for other games in the meantime on the way. So keep your eyes peeled. I'll probably be doing a lot of spectating. I'm open to your guys' suggestions, and I think there was a lot to be learned from this game, even though it was, I was going to say relatively one-sided, but it did go on for 51 minutes. This was a very cool MegaRandom map, too. It's well played, Zik mode. Ready to this problem was it scouted badly. Ah. Oh, I know, right? Yeah, Motham was kind of hidden in the corner there. He's trying to hide. I really liked your base, Ready Teddy. I thought it was very compact, very modern. It's nice. I will post this on YouTube, Gustav. I think Ulysses, for a night rush, you probably want around 6 villagers per stable on gold. I think it's about 6. Yes. But you can always stockpile gold beforehand, so... you probably don't need exactly 12 for 2 stables if you've stockpiled some gold beforehand. The Sir says, hey Rez, just want to say love all your videos. Good to see you recovered and you're back to live stream. Keep the amazing work. I still have a lot to recover from, but I did want to do a stream anyway, just to say my thanks to you guys, and also because I recently moved out and I have no money. So yeah. But also, I missed you guys, of course, and every time I take a break, I always like... I look forward to Friday as a time where I can spend time with you guys and play some Age of Empires too, so it's always fun. I think since my allergies are still really bad and I'm kind of tired, I might call it a day after this. But yeah, thank you so much for stopping by today, guys. I will be posting these matches on YouTube soon, so keep your eyes peeled. And at some point, I'd really like to do something like Hearthstone and whatnot on the side. I know I've said that for a while, but I didn't expect after I did the tutorial that just... life exploded in my face, and then I had to, tend to a lot of things. So yeah, that is coming as a way to try and, keep the channel afloat and well sustained. So again, thank you so much for the support today, guys. It's wonderful to have you all. I hope to see you all in the future. You can find the live stream schedule on my Twitch page. Plenty of good stuff on the way. Keep your eyes peeled. Yeah, I'm gonna run a quick commercial, and then I think I'll see you all next Friday. Hope you all have a wonderful Mother's Day. See you all next week. Thank you, Deer Hunter. Thanks, John Fist. Alright, have a good one, guys. Thank you so much for the support. It means a lot to me. I'm going to run a quick ad.